You're listening to Game Freaks 365 Radio.
So let's talk a little bit about the PS5 and Series X launch. What are you guys' thoughts on? Well, first of all, let's go over who has what. Andrew, you have PS5, right?
PS5, yeah.
Drew, you have both.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys didn't have any issues getting your hands on either of them?
No, I still have some connections from
your days
working experience.
Yes.
I don't really want to call anybody out. So
for the man, the worst man, the worst. Not an actual person, but I'm just talking about this store that which shall not be named.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
The dark side.
And I've gotten I got an Xbox Series X. It was about well, let's see. It's
about a month late, right?
Yeah, it's about a month late.
I'm happy you finally got it, though.
Yeah, it's good to finally be able to review games on it.
As Angel plays Fall Guys.
He's playing Tetris at the moment, but yeah.
What a good game.
Yeah, I just played it for the first time yesterday.
What,
Honestly, like Tetris Effect Connected.
Ooh, neato.
It's really good. I'm
Wait,
impressed
is
by
Tetris
both consoles.
Effect? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is that the Battle Royale Tetris?
No. That's Tetris 99.
Okay, sorry.
No, you should play Tetris Effect Connected. I'll let you borrow my copy if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah,
I do love Tetris.
Super impressed with both consoles, to be honest. I think PS5 probably has a more varied exclusive lineup. Just, man, honestly though, like I won't go back. Like the speed of that hard drive just loading into everything. Quick resume's been an absolute blessing. Like even there's construction in front of my house. I even lost power at one point and it still quick resumed my games.
And your hard drive was fine?
Yeah, everything was great. Like, I haven't had any issues. I think Valhalla crashed on me twice, but I have had zero issues with either console.
What about you, Andrew?
I've not had any issues at all. Like one of the things that I've noticed is quite I just like refreshing compared to the PS4. Like if there's a crash of any kind, oftentimes it won't like it just doesn't shut down your machine. It'll say like, do you want to report this or whatever? Choose to report it or not, and then you're straight back into whatever you were doing. Like if the game crashes, possibly it's different. I don't know if maybe just not had that yet, but any kind of crash report that comes up is like it doesn't really disrupt things that much for me. And yeah, I think generally like it feels like for both consoles, it's been like a really successful launch. Like if it was like a normal kind of time, but considering it's during a global pandemic, like I think kind of it speaks volumes to how successful it's been. Really,
it's impressive, honestly.
Pretty smooth, yeah.
I think I
think the only criticism I have is how they were unable to make sure that the consoles got out to people that actually wanted them, rather than scalpers. There's only so much that Microsoft and Sony can do about that, but I think that's it, and my main issue that I had with the launch.
I feel bad for a lot of the people.
You to be better, people. People need to be better. Stop it, okay? Just stop it.
Well, I was mentioning to Andrew before we started recording that I think one of the things that they could have done is, or at least set aside some of the stock so that you had to have a PlayStation Network account or an Xbox Live account, so that they made sure that people that already were PS4 and Xbox One owners were able to actually buy the next gen console instead of any random person that
Sony insinuated they were doing that.
No, they did. Sony did do that. There was like a line before pre-orders went live, like you can sign up for
there was
a pre-order. Yeah, Sony did that. Microsoft didn't though.
I guess that was that just for pre-orders directly from them. Yeah.
Yeah, directly through the Sony retailer.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I feel bad for people who were watching the PlayStation event, and then they're like pre-orders tomorrow, and then Walmart goes live, and then everyone else is like, well, screw it, we're going live too.
Yeah.
And then everyone just sort of missed out on them.
Yeah. I haven't had any issues in terms of crashes or anything though on the Series X, so I'm pretty happy about that.
As somebody who hasn't played either of them, what do you guys think about the controllers?
It's not really any different.
The Series X controllers are ever so slightly smaller, just barely. The D-pad's great, but yeah, it's basically the same controller.
PS5 controller is quite a bit different though, isn't it?
Yeah, the PS5 controller is awesome. I remember so when I booted up Astro's Playroom that was my first PS5 game. About halfway through that game, I was like, I'm gonna get sick of this real quick. It was all vibrating all the time, like it was just constantly shouting at me. I was like, I don't want this. And then I played Spider-Man, and it was much more subdued than Astro's Playroom was. Obviously, Astro is just kind of meant to showcase what the controller can do, but I was annoyed by about halfway through that game.
Like
very neat and cool.
Yeah, in terms of the DualSense, like I think if it's gonna just be just more kind of vibration and stuff like that, it's like I don't really need that. But in terms of like, so when you kind of walk across the sand and stuff like that, it kind of like I quite enjoyed that kind of thing, that kind of demonstration of how it kind of feels and with the haptic feedback and stuff like that. But I agree. I think Spider-Man was much more subdued. I could have done with like a little bit more kind of in terms of features for it, or just I don't know. I guess it's just that early in the generation.
The feedback on the triggers when he swings, when he casts his web.
Yeah, it's one of those that like I guess because so many people hype up the controller from mostly playing Astro's Playroom, when you then move into something like Spider-Man, you're kind of expecting there to be a little bit more, and it's just like okay,
especially as a first-party title.
Yeah. It's like the triggers have a little bit of resistance. It's like okay, that's nice, but it's not really anything more advanced than a DualShock 4. Really.
You played Call of Duty on PS5, right?
Yeah.
Where it's one of that I've heard that the each gun feels kind of different when you shoot it. Is that accurate?
I would say yes, but I also once I find like a set of guns that kind of work for me, I don't really change that much. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to know for sure.
Sure, it's definitely one I want to try on PS5, but I just play it on PC mostly. So
yeah,
is the controller itself is the controller itself comfortable to handle?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
I really like that the bevels on the back are the symbols. I saw that. That's just a wonderful touch, Sony.
It's a little bit bigger than the DualShock 4, which I like, but it's about the same weight. It's a little heavier, but like it's not too much.
So it's not going to fly out of your hands like the 6-axis did, right?
No. and honestly, everyone hates the symmetrical kind of joysticks, but I prefer that. I don't know, and it's got more resistance than the Xbox controller is, has. And I think that's way better for shooters. Like whenever I'm playing on like a regular Xbox controller, I just find myself kind of flying everywhere with my aim because I'm just pushing up too hard. It's one of the reasons I love the series or the Elite Series 2 controllers. You can change that tension. Yeah. So you have to press a little harder to aim in a certain direction. Makes it a little closer to the PlayStation controllers.
See, I think the PlayStation controller, the only part about the PlayStation controllers that has ever been bad is the resistance of the analog sticks. I think they are just all over the place. Like I cannot play Tony Hawk with the analog sticks. I have to.
Me and you absolutely disagree on that.
I can't do it. I don't know how the hell you do it. Like shooters on Xbox all the way, big time. Tony Hawk on PlayStation, shooters on Xbox. Everything else couldn't do it. Madden I played on PlayStation as well. I don't know why. I don't remember why, but. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I did not realize that the analog sticks though had more resistance on the PlayStation. That's interesting.
Yeah, they do.
It's cool. I mean, I'm happy about that personally.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to join in this conversation at some point because I don't have a PS5.
I don't either. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah. Sometime next year, hopefully I'll get one.
Yeah.
But I'm like pretty much everyone that's watching this. Well, a fair amount of people that are watching this that wasn't able to get my hands on PS5. So let's go ahead and talk about maybe our biggest disappointments of 2020. And I mean, that's probably a laundry list for all of us if we're talking about 2020 in general.
Yeah.
But we're specifically about gaming. What are your biggest disappointments of the year? Let's start with you, Drew.
FF7 remake.
Oh, okay.
You're the worst. You're the
Well,
worst. You're the
what?
worst. I agree. I love your review and I agree with it, and I still think you're the worst.
I had a hard time getting excited for really anything this year. So I think anything that was kind of mediocre didn't really let me down. Final Fantasy VII was one of the few things that I was really excited about. And then it just didn't live up to the expectations that I had for it. So that was my biggest disappointment.
Cliff.
My biggest disappointment this year, it's not a game. It's just, we kind of mentioned earlier, kind of the whole hype thing. I think that this hype train is kind of ruining a lot of games and messing up a lot of games, and having games not sell like they should, or fall off the map for a while so nobody picks them up and buys them and plays them later when Battlefront 2 is great and I just found out about this recently. You know what I mean? Things like that. I'm tired of it happening. That's my biggest disappointment, is it just keeps happening with games. We see stuff like Cyberpunk that, why are we all getting so hyped about Cyberpunk so much so long ago, that this year was, delay after delay after delay, story of delay after delay. Like, that's my biggest disappointment, is that we just keep falling for it. And by we, I mean I didn't fall for Cyberpunk, but just basically the going for pre-release hype, thinking that a game's going to come out and necessarily just change and shift everything when it's a shooter. It's basically just going to be a fun game. Like, can we just have more of those? That's my thing. Like, again, that's why, like, my favorite game of the year was so simple, is because it was just simple fun, and I didn't have to worry about whether or not it was going to work when I started playing it, or my version didn't work, or you know what I mean. And that stuff, just that, again, I'm disappointed that keeps happening. I really am. Like, we have early access for a reason. Put it in early access if it's not done.
That's a good point.
That would be my. Otherwise, though, I didn't play a lot of bad games this year. I really didn't.
I think it was a good year overall.
It was a pretty good year overall. Definitely. And I approached my backlog. I would say last year my biggest disappointment of the year was probably just PlayStation Plus. We talked about that, but this year PlayStation Plus, the freebies, A, gave me Fall Guys, and B, gave me some games that were great for the backlog. I hadn't played a racing game in a while. Need for Speed Payback was on there. That was pretty fun. So I didn't have a lot of disappointments overall. It was a pretty good year for games, and I just think that the bigger games, like, people were so worried about Last of Us 2, and there were people that didn't like it as much because it changed the way the story was and this and that. And I don't know, people just take the games off the pedestal a little bit before it comes out. Let it come out, and then think about how you're gonna feel about it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Like, the first time I kind of noticed this kind of thing was when Final Fantasy 15 finally came out.
Oh, that's a great example.
Like, people had been kind of building for that for so long that when it eventually released, and obviously, like, it's obviously started as Versus 13 or whatever, and what was it? There was the character Stella, I think, she was just like removed for the game, and then she became, or Luna was kind of replaced her, and so many people after the game came out where it was like, oh, but Stella looked like she was going to be so much better, and so, oh, I can't believe they took Stella out of the game. It was like, you saw a character in like 3 trailers, like, and it's like,
you did this to yourself.
Yeah. Like, you built up like an idea of who this person might have been or whatever, and it's
stop it, people. Like,
it's like, it's okay to be like, this character looks cool, sure, that's fine, but like, just take a step back and be like, okay, this person's not in the game anymore, that character's not in the game anymore, that's going to suck. But
Yeah.
the idea of the character you have is just kind of built by yourself mostly. You're kind of feeding off of marketing / trailers / CG screenshots, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you see it with like, you get awards now where it's like most anticipated game and stuff like that, and it's like, or I guess we've always kind of had that, but it just feels like it's more kind of prestige put on it at like E3 or the Game Awards and stuff like that. I don't know. I think that kind of thing just kind of helps to undermine the game's eventual release. Like everything kind of, the discourse becomes so just heightened by that kind of stuff.
And what's your biggest disappointment of the year, Andrew?
Oh, I don't, like you said, I don't really have a great disappointment. One thing I kind of looked at retrospectively was Resident Evil 3. Like I gave it a 4 in my review out of 5, and I think I'd maybe tone that down a wee bit.
Feeling worse about it now that the newness is worn off.
Yeah, I think as well, like I rolled straight from Resident Evil 3 into FF7 after, and again, I guess like it's kind of again the Miles Morales Final Fantasy 7 comparison.
Man, remake whammies here, G.
I loved Resident Evil 3, like playing it, but also it was like 4 hours for a £50 game. It was like the value for money probably wasn't there. I'd probably tone that down if I was to re-review it a little bit. And I didn't stick with the multiplayer aspect of it, I guess, as much as I thought I might at the time, because it looked quite cool, but yeah, it didn't keep me, I guess.
And I guess my biggest disappointment wouldn't actually be a game itself. I'd say my biggest disappointment was Xbox Live's Games with Gold.
It was a rough year for that.
A very rough year. Such a rough year that I wonder if Microsoft is actually going to continue doing the program.
It's pointless with Game Pass.
Much longer.
Wait, really?
Yeah, with Game Pass out, I don't really see what the point is.
I don't either. But how bad could I did not pay attention to the Games Gold? What did you get last? What's the best game you've gotten this year?
I can't even remember.
Oh man, that's rough.
Actually, I'm gonna look it up.
I mean, I know what I got. I got Fall Guys,
and Bug Snacks.
And Bug Snacks, but that's for PS5 someday.
I know that they took the like you get the 1 month membership and the 12-month membership. I know they've taken them out of stores over here. So I know there was the kind of rumor back in the day where there was going to be some kind of combined Game Pass Xbox Live, and I assume that's going to happen at some point, because it feels like the things are just kind of starting to align there for that kind of thing. Because I don't know what reason you would have to remove a 1 month sub and a 12-month sub from like the code, the kind of gift card code things. I don't know why you'd remove them from stores and leave the 3-month pass, but then just not not change the price or whatever. Like there's got to be some kind of reason there for why they've done that.
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting.
So I went back and looked at some of the games that they added this year. I think the most notable one is probably The Division. Kind of old now.
The first Division?
Yeah.
An online service game that they put. Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
I assumed it was Division 2 because that came out, what, a year or two ago?
Oh, did they add the Division 2?
No, I don't know if they did. I just assumed that it would have been because that's a couple of years old now.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it was the first.
They
that they added.
What did I miss?
Those games at all. Games with gold. That's awful.
Yeah, they added the Division in September.
I know they did. They did Origami in November, which was a really great game. And then they did 2 of the Shantae games earlier this year, I think.
Ooh, all right.
Which were also very, very good. That was probably like the highlight of 2020 for me.
A game that wasn't necessarily like a total surprise. It wasn't the best ever, but I like Squadrons a lot. Star Wars Squadrons. I am glad that they technically lied and said that they were not going to add anything to the game. They did. They've added 2 new ships recently. There's some new maps. It's a great game for what it was. I bought it for like I think $30 or $40, so like the price was really right for the amount of content.
But it launched at $40.
Oh, it did.
Uh-huh.
I thought. Oh, okay. So all right, never mind. Then I guess I got it a little bit cheaper, but not much. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it had even for $40, I think it had just the right amount of content, or like just exactly what I would want to see. But maybe they'd add more, and they are slowly starting to do that. But I think
it's not the Rogue Squadron game I wanted, but it is a lot of fun.
It's not. But it's also not a bad flying game.
No, it's fun. Like it's a good game.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm saying like it isn't the Rogue Squadron I wanted. I agree with you on that. And actually, the biggest thing about that, there's no planet side missions. Like, please, I'm so sick of space. Like, I want to fly around some planet. There's so many in Star Wars. Let me do one of them. But otherwise, like, still pretty cool. A cool game. The story was all right. I liked a few of the characters by the end of it. I liked the Empire more. That was weird.
How long was the single player?
14 missions, and it was about 8 hours because I wasn't great near the end. It was really hard. It got a little hard. But yeah, it's not super long, but it does get you a lot better at flying. So when you play online, you have a chance. I've noticed when you play online in Squadrons, you shouldn't unless you are actually a Jedi. So really hard. Like the dog fights go to 30 points. I've never gotten more than 8. My team has never gotten more than 8 in a game, and I've never won one since my first one. So it's always been like 4 to 30, and I mean every time. I don't know how. I'm trying. It's not all my fault. Sorry. Anyway.
So let's go to Game of the Year. What was your Game of the Year? Let's go with Drew.
I was trying to think about it today. Like, there are games that I really liked, like The Last of Us 2. I really loved Ghost of Tsushima. Probably 13 Sentinels, to be honest. I just thought it was unique enough and did something different. I almost was considering Persona 5 Royal, but like, can you really consider that game? It's probably Persona 5 Royal or 13 Sentinels. Yeah, there's enough new content there. Like, it's a new game. One of those two.
I mean, Drew, you might like this shout out, but one of my favorite games last year was definitely Catherine Full Body.
Yes.
Really cool.
Yeah, and I was stoked. I played through that on Switch this year.
Nice.
I'll play it on every platform that comes out on. It's
I know that's
favorite,
like your
favorite game of all time.
Yeah, that was a cool gameplay loop. I did enjoy it quite a bit.
Yep.
That was a weird ass game.
Yeah, game's awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I'm happy you got to play it finally.
I played the original.
I knew when I
back on
did, it
PS3.
would be good. I knew it would be good. You would not lead me astray on that. Sorry.
It's like one of those games that I can recommend to basically anyone. Like, if you're okay with unique games, I'll recommend it to you.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Andrew, what was your Game of the Year?
I think it's got to be Hades. If it wasn't for Hades, it probably would have been Last of Us. But yeah, I think Hades, just possibly because it just wasn't on the radar at all. And then as soon as I picked it up, it was like I can't put this game down, and it just kind of had everything that I was looking for without any kind of build up or hype or I know it had been in early access, but I just had no idea this game was coming, and then it just hits and you're like, wow.
How much is it?
I think it's on sale
$25
at the moment.
I'm getting it soon. I cannot wait.
Is it coming? Is it coming to
excited.
console, or is it just gonna say
It's Switch and
PC?
PC.
I'm just gonna go buy it.
So, oh god, did Disco Elysium?
I'd
come out this
imagine it'll
year?
come
Or was
to
that
PS.
last year? That was last year, wasn't it?
What'd you say?
Disco Elysium, was that last year? I think I played it
I
this
think
year.
it was
but
last year.
Came out last year, yeah.
Yeah, they just got
that
that just got announced for
but
console.
that's a really good game.
Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I've definitely heard of it and I heard it was great.
Yeah, it was
That
last
came out
year.
last October.
Jeez. Yeah, I think I only played it this year, but yeah, that would have been up there had it qualified. So, yeah, I think it has to be Hades.
Gotcha. I'm gonna abstain, mostly because I've been playing a lot of really bad games lately.
What was that racer you reviewed the other day?
I don't
Like
even
Speed
remember the
or
name of
something
it
like
now.
that. Like,
Yeah, it's Speed 3. Speed 3.
Wow. I would think it was based off the movie.
So they couldn't even come up with an
Like,
original
I
name.
think it was based off the movie. I think there was like a movie bus or something. But by the way, my game of the year this year would be, I'd have to go with Ghost of Tsushima, just like objectively. Like if I wasn't
really
gonna say
good.
my favorite, yeah, I mean that game was like this generation had those games. It had the big open world action games that had side quests and all of the stuff you could want. Right? That's the best one. I mean, kind of it is. I'd argue if you like certain things about Horizons better, or if you like certain things about Spider-Man better, whatever. But those three games are basically all perfect, and I would say that was this year's one that I'd give. So yeah, and I think it's awesome the kudos that the development team got from people that were more, I guess, savvy on authentic culture of the time and things like that. They were given a lot of credit for doing really well with that part of the game, and not actually being from the culture themselves. I think that's pretty interesting that they were able to do that so well. So
yeah, Sony knocked it out of the park with
nice
both
little
Ghosts and
extra
Last of
bit
Us.
there. My only complaint with that game is just it's kind of sad. There's a lot of people that it's so reflective of the time and the era, and would not have been a very nice place or time to be. And so if you think about it a lot, it's a pretty intense game too.
Have you played the multiplayer on it at all?
I have not, and I am very interested in doing so. When they announced it, I was absolutely thrilled, and I think that the concept is very cool.
Yeah, it sounds really good, but yeah, I've not had a chance to play the game itself. Yeah, that's
Andrew,
one on my
we
list.
should
I've heard
we
it
should
can
all play
make-
through that together. Like
I've
I
heard
haven't
make
touched
it
it.
feel a little bit more like limited because the combat system was so good, right? Like in the game with the switching between the four stances. Well,
Mhm.
if you can't do that, it kind of makes you feel limited in what you really can do, which actually works for the way the multiplayer is supposed to work, but it kind of sucks after playing with that system as full as it was in single. So I don't know how it would work, but I haven't got other people to play through it yet. So
I volunteer.
Yeah, I'd be keen. Yeah.
I don't know that I would call it game of the year, but the favorite game that I played that came out this year, I think would have to go to Carrion. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Carrion.
Too. Super unique.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really good game, and it came out of left field. They describe it as a reverse horror game where you play as the monster instead of
I like that.
Yeah, it was a neat concept.
My one complaint with that game was I felt like the controls got a little touchy when like your monster got too big and you're like trying to navigate these like really small passageways.
Yeah,
that was my only complaint with that game, but I had a good time. And a map. The map would have been great.
Yeah.
Just going in circles.
Yeah, I hear you there. Oh, and I was gonna circle back to biggest disappointment because I think this needs to be mentioned. 13 remake.
Oh man,
Absolute disaster.
I returned my copy.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm sorry you guys played it.
I didn't.
Oh, good.
No, I didn't.
Kyle, I'm sorry you had to play it.
I waited to open it until Kyle's review came out, and then I was like,
man, the original was so neat. I remember playing it the first time on a demo on a PC, and it was just
first one was good. The original.
It was one of my favorite games on PS2.
Yeah.
And the style of it was amazing at the time.
Yeah.
They completely ruined that, I think.
Yeah, it's like they had that whole system so well done in the original, and then they didn't even try to HD it up. It was like they just went with a different style that wasn't cool, and it wasn't close to what they did before.
Well, it's weird because it was like it almost seems like it was ahead of its time when it came out. And now that we're ahead in time. Like I don't want it.
Yeah, no, it's well, like we can't go as far ahead with what we want to do with our graphics. So let's make it look like a comic book, you know. But well, it's a comic book, so it's going to look perfect like a comic book. Now it's like we can make it look like a comic book, but in HD. It's like, cool it, guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just yeah,
well,
no,
it'd be nice.
Did look really disappointing.
It'd be nice if you could even play it without the frame rate dropping every 5 seconds.
Good.
We're still having these problems. What year is it? Oh yeah, there's new consoles. Problem's gonna be solved. No time at all. They're gonna figure it out real quick this time, guys. And it won't be 5 years from now that games are finally looking at their best on the system, right?
Cyberpunk says hi.
I mean, we were talking about the systems earlier that on the launch. I didn't really chime in as much about like what I think overall because I don't own one, but I don't want to right now. I want 2 more years out of my PS4. I can get it easily. You know, like there's a lot of great games I've still missed. You know, that are there forever. They're now super cheap, but you know, and I didn't miss a bunch of good games. There's still, you know, whatever. So I don't know. Just people are getting new consoles because they're telling them to, and they're starting to move on without the people who don't want one or don't need one. And I don't need one right now. The controller, the haptic feedback of the PS5 controller, you guys are describing to me. No, that doesn't. That's not going to sell a console to me. And you know, the only reason I guess it's looking like the only reason I'm
not
going
a
to buy
$500 one.
Yeah, someday down the road is when it goes down in price, and that's the only option I have to play new games. Not because I really want the system. And so, you know, Series X, I do want a little bit more because Game Pass, but that's just because I can play more games easily. So
the main reason I ended up buying the Series X is because I had the base Xbox One. So it's a bigger jump for me than someone that might have had the Xbox One X, and I get the names confused because they are so similar now.
I just call
Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox Series X.
I know I sound like an old man saying it that way, but I just call it the Xbox now. The newest Xbox is
it's the Xbox.
Yeah, the Xbox. That's what they should have called it, damn it. They should have rebooted the system.
That's what they've been doing with a bunch of games, so...
Yeah, why not do it with the console? Be that meta. I mean, be a meta console.
Yeah.
Right.
I do think there's something in that, though. Like, you don't necessarily need to update right now to a PS5 or...
Yeah.
No, not at all.
You know, it's just like with the games that are coming out, you know, I think Horizon, they've said, is going to be on PS4. God of War.
God of War,
They haven't said yet.
Have they said about God of War?
They did say it like last week. Yep.
Oh, they said that's going to be on PS4 as well, yeah.
It was basically as close to a confirmation without being a confirmation as we're going to get, yes.
So it was one that kind of felt like there was a good chance that it would be, because they didn't say at the time that it was going to be PS5 exclusive kind of thing. It just left that kind of window open. So again, that's like another reason where you don't really need to upgrade. It's only, I guess, visual fidelity and load times that really like would push someone towards it, I guess. But it's not like a necessity, I don't think.
The only thing that I wanted from a new console like a year ago when they started talking about what they could do and all that, I said, honestly, I don't care about the graphics. I don't really care that much. They are better. It does look really, really cool. And I'm not saying graphics are not important at all. But what I'm saying is, like, I just wanted my games to download faster. Like on PS4, it is inexcusable how long it takes to download, install, and play a game.
It's much quicker on PS5.
And it's much quicker on not as old of a PS4 as I have as well, so that's part of it. But it's still, it's like we have the fastest internet you can possibly buy here in town, except for the fiber optic cable that is out in the country a little bit more here for whatever reason. And my connection on my PlayStation doesn't even get 100 megabytes a second down.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. It's less than a tenth of what we're supposed to get. So, like, that's the PlayStation's fault. You know, so I can't get mad at the internet company anymore. So yeah, the new consoles, that's all I wanted was, you know, let me download a game and play it in 5 minutes. That'd be nice. Like, you know, like when I'm not asking to put a cartridge in the console and turn it on and it work. I know that's dinosaur shit, but come on. You know?
Well, to wrap things up here, let's go ahead and look forward to 2021. What games are you looking forward to most in 2021?
I'll kick off. Really hoping Final Fantasy 16 makes it next year because I think that game is farther along in development than we think, and I think it looks amazing. It's way more grounded, that kind of medieval storyline. I think it's gonna be really good. Horizon Zero Dawn 2. And we actually saw, what was it? There were a couple of indie titles that we saw at the Game Awards that looked really good. Thought Fist looked great. That one with like the animals and the rabbit's got the huge arm. It's a Metroidvania, looks really funny. And then I don't know if it's scheduled for next year. Crimson Desert. I remember I was watching that trailer. I was like, this doesn't look great. And then like that combat kicked in. Has anyone watched that?
I have not.
Crimson Desert.
I don't think so.
Okay, watch that trailer when we get off of here. The first like 2 minutes of it is really bland and boring, and then the second half just blew me away. Like I've never done a 180 quicker on a trailer than I have with that one. Yeah, I feel like there's more coming out next year. I'm really looking forward to, but
Cliff?
Those are the main ones.
I actually know mine almost very quickly. So PS5 is going to have a great year in 2021. I think there's a new Ratchet and Clank, Gran Turismo, God of War, Horizon, and the one I'm most excited about is multi-platform, Hitman 3. I think Hitman 1 and 2 are the coolest and least appreciated gems of this entire console generation, and I cannot wait to see what Hitman 3 is like.
Very good. Andrew?
Yeah, Horizon, Ratchet and Clank, God of War if it doesn't slip to 2022.
It's gonna slip. Yeah. Let's just to rip that up. That
yeah.
But it's okay.
Delays are good.
Delays are fine.
Exactly.
We've learned that very, 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 very recently.
And Deathloop. I think Deathloop's out in May or
Deathloop
June.
looks really good.
Yeah. And then there's stuff. I mean, again, Final Fantasy 16. Hopefully that hits next year. That'd be great. Yeah, I think that's probably about it. There's probably going to be like several surprise games that just that's kind of also what I'm looking forward to, like the stuff that we don't know about yet. There's something that'll get announced like March and then hits in September or October, that kind of thing.
Halo's confirmed for next year too. Just want
Halo
yet.
Yeah.
Not to sound like a broken record, Ratchet and Clank here.
Yeah.
They're great games. How dare you? They're great games.
Also, I would say Breath of the Wild 2 if that comes out, and Cyberpunk.
The next gen version.
Once they fix it.
Has anyone mentioned Returnal?
No.
I think that game looks really good too.
Does look good.
Yeah, hype on that.
There was one more I was trying to think of, but I'm losing it.
It's Persona 5 Strikers, right?
It's Supersonic Mario Strikers at the Olympic Games.
And that's my problem. Like, I like too many different types of games, and I just want to play everything. Like, I want time for
it.
I feel that.
That's, you know what? Gaming's never been more encouraging and more accepting and more.
You're gone again. It was such a happy thought too.
It was. This is almost meme worthy.
Well.
I hate this microphone.
We're gonna have to get you a new headset, Cliff.
It's okay.
What were you gonna say?
I was saying I this generation of consoles and going into the next one, I really appreciate indie games a lot. They've given us a lot of very weird stuff that just good stuff. And again, my favorite game of the year is an indie game, Fall Guys. So I just I can't believe that I would put that against something like Tsushima, but
it's been a really good year for kind of the mid-tier developers.
Little guys.
Yeah, I'm looking. The Medium, another kind of smaller dev that makes great games. Like Bloober's an impressive team. Like I really like their titles.
Yeah.
The Medium's a kind of Silent Hill looking game, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one where you like switch worlds on the dime. Like,
yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, game looks good.
I'd like to see a next gen Forza.
Where is it? Like, this is the first year in years where we haven't had a new Forza game?
They're gonna announce Project Gotham Racing 4.
No, they're not.
Hey, that's where Forza went.
Oh yeah, surprises. Perfect Dark. What?
I know. Oh my. Okay, thank you, Drew. I saw it the other day, and I'm like, what did I like? Did somebody slip something in my drink? Because I was like, really? Like, all right. That was a great trailer too. I thought that was pretty. Like, I wish I didn't know what I was in for when I saw it, because the second I saw the Datadyne logo, I would have lost my head.
Dude, like, and that's the thing. Like, we can circle back to like surprises and stuff all night, right? Like, that's how much news we got this year, and how exciting this kind of year has been for gaming, despite everything that's going on.
And I think it's kept us all sane.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, and
a lot of Fall Guys.
The game that looks like Dead Space. Like, what? That's set in the PUBG universe.
Are they gonna take Dead Space and do it right? they don't.
No, it's so Michael Scofield is on a team that is part of the PUBG universe, like the Callisto Project or Protocol.
Protocol. Hang on,
I don't remember. Anyway, that takes place in the PUBG universe, and it makes no sense, but it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks insane.
Yeah. Exciting things.
All right. Any final thoughts? Things.
To hell with 2020. Let's have 2021.
There you go.
What on earth makes you think next year's going to be any better? Like, come on.
It can't be any worse. Like, I think we've hit the base level now. Hopefully.
I keep telling myself that, and I hope it's true.
I'm gonna say I don't know if it's true anymore. I don't even know what's real anymore. Like, how many things are the way they are because of COVID, and because that's how life actually was supposed to be. Like, what is life anymore? Who knows? I want Fall Guys Season 4, 2021. That's all I care about. Keep me going. That's it.
Very good. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Have a happy new year.
Yeah, y'all have a happy new year.
Take care, guys.
See you guys. Safe. Have a good night.